He's up. Man, this morning I was wore out, leaning over that El Camino, and then I looked, I got Jimmy leaning on one quarter panel and James on another, and I go, no, this is too. It's not true. Let's call it a day, guys.
Oh, shit. Well, we're live, boys. Episode 1. I don't even think we've decided a name for the podcast yet, have we?
No, not quite. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I have some options floating around.
What are you thinking?
I don't know, man. Whiskey and flatheads, or I don't know. Something that has to do with Ford, though. It has to come back to that.
You think?
I think so.
You think that'd be isolating a whole market of people?
No.
Fuck everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
It needs to be something original. You know, you could. I remember when I first started my business, I had this kid across the street, and he put a sign out there: "Why pay more when you can pay less?" This could be more or less just a regular podcast.
There you go.
It'll be a regular podcast.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see.
Start happening later in the evenings. It'd be probably something people are.
Hold up closer, like really want to do that too.
All right.
Maybe set it on your chest right there. I don't got a belly, but like you can.
I can set it on my belly.
Yeah, I mean that works too.
Okay, so we're going to start this deal out.
Give me your origin story.
Run that by me again. Where you want me to start?
How'd you get your start? Where did you start at? How'd you get into the car business? How'd you get into body industry? Doing what you
It's not really getting into the industry. It's like, are you an entrepreneur or not?
Right.
You know, as a kid, I ran around the neighborhood over in Mom and Dad's neighborhood, and I was painting people's mailing addresses on their mailboxes and the curbs.
There you go.
You know, and then
It always starts somewhere.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of the deal. Then I decided I didn't want to check in. I didn't have a problem paying in, but I didn't want to check in. And then, you know, that comes with stress, obviously, but it seemed to pay off after 29 years. Overnight success. 29 years.
Overnight success, 29 years.
Yeah.
So like at 20, like, so for example, like the three of us were about what? You guys are my age, if not younger. Like I'm 25. So what are you guys?
I'm 24. I'm going to be 25 in September.
And I'm 22. So around our age, where were you at, Lonnie? Like, can you give us like an insight?
You know, I was, like I told you a million times, of course, you know, this is our first podcast. I grew up around cars. And at the age of 21, 22, you know, I'm working a regular plant job. I'm burning midnight oil, doing cars in the evening, trying to build a street rod of my own, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul, but, you know, doing the responsible things, working a, 10-hour a day job, come home, do the cars. And, man, at some point I was like, I think I could probably spin this deal. Probably spin it and make a living out of doing cars.
At what point was that? Like, what was your...
What was the year that you were...
Well, obviously 94. I pulled the trigger and hit it,
Head on.
I mean, I got done with the BMX deal, did the bicycling, and realized, you gotta make a living.
Right.
So I stepped away from bicycling and did the aircraft. I could see the handwriting on the wall. I'm not cut out for that. And I love cars. And then boom. You know what they say?
What do they say?
If you enjoy it, it ain't a job.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's kind of what I've tried to take it on, like here with doing media and whatnot. And I'm sure like you guys have with, you guys coming into this at such a young age too. And like,
absolutely.
Have you guys also always been around this as well?
Yeah. Always been around cars.
So for you guys that are watching this for the first time and don't know, these two are brothers right here. So kind of tell me a little bit about your upbringing and like your auto experience and when you decided you wanted to get into cars.
Well, our dad has always been into cars. So was our grandpa, basically our whole family. He had some old Tri-5 Chevys growing up, and that's what kind of got us into it. And ever since then, we've had the bug.
Ever since then?
Yes, sir.
Does that sound pretty similar to you, Lonnie?
I mean, hey, grew up around a family of, hot rodders. My dad's a hot rodder. My uncle was into it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of bred into you. Now, if you choose to make a living out of it, that's another thing, because it ain't as easy as just jumping in and doing it. Anybody will tell you that.
So go ahead and give me your if you had to take your top 5 must-have vehicles, like before you die, what would they be? And if you already have them, that's fine. Tell us if you do. But let's try to stick to the ones that you don't.
I'd really love to have maybe a Zephyr, 39 Zephyr, because it'd make a cool custom. I don't have one. I'd have to build a garage, especially for it, because they're longer than a land yacht. Okay, They are a land yacht, but I got into that 32 deal. I've always had some cool hot rods, but I never had a 32 Ford. I had a glass car.
Isn't that what I was texting you about the other day?
Yeah.
Because my grandpa was saying the same thing. Like before he died, he wants a 32.
Yeah, you had hit me up about that, and I know where some 5 windows are, but if a guy's looking for a Jenny car, you can step into one of those a lot cheaper than a hot rod. Because just different zip codes as far as the builds go. But I've started accumulating my 32s, and the 32s, obviously, they're like a car that, if you're a street rodder, you either have a 44 or a 32, and then everything else is always nice to have. But you asked me what my car would be. I think I'd like to have a 32 Phaeton. I wouldn't mind having a 32 Roadster pickup.
Does color matter to you? Like, is that...
No, it's real simple.
As long as it's black.
Yeah,
as long as it's black.
Yeah, I mean, Henry got it right, so why mess with Henry?
That's fair. So, just to clarify, we're all Ford guys in this room.
Oh, I like Chevrolets too.
Yeah.
So, is it a sin to put a Chevy motor in a Ford, or a Ford motor in a Chevy, or like what's the...
Oh, there's guys that frown down on it, man, but there's nothing wrong with Chevrolet and a street rod. A Ford and Ford's cool. They make a point that if you got a Ford and Ford, they give you acknowledgement for it. But
Logan, Gavin, what do you think?
I don't think there's anything wrong with the small block and a Ford.
No. Whatever suits your preference and whatever's best for your build.
And what about you guys? Give me your top 5, each one. And we'll start off with you, Gavin.
Top 5 would probably be like 34 3-window. And then they're probably 5-window. 32 3-window, of course. I like sedan deliveries.
Model A's.
Model
2029. You're a 2029 guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Model A's.
What is that, 4?
That's 5.
It's 5. All right. So, what about you, Logan?
I would say probably the number 1 is a 32 3-window. But after that, a 55 Bel Air, 57 convertible, probably a 34 Ford.
So,
and then something, I don't know, probably just something crazy like a Zephyr or Old Mercury or something that could be turned into like an old California cruiser.
I got you. Yeah, see, I feel like, I don't know, do you feel like car guys, like hot rod guys, are kind of like shoe guys in the fact of they all kind of have their same kind of like holy grails?
Yeah.
Like you get in a lane, man. You get in a certain lane, you get stuck in it. But you're looking at the new craze, all the OBSs and the C stations.
Yeah, trucks are hot right
coming
now.
on hot. And, I like the Gen 2 Camaros. But, you got to pick a lane to get in, especially with the cost of these things nowadays.
See, like I grew up with my grandpa working on cars, and it was always like 69 Camaros, 85 Chevy Bel Airs, like kind of stuff like that. So that's kind of the stuff I like.
Yeah.
And then I'm starting to appreciate like not really the craftsmanship behind like 80s styles cars, but like the body style. Like kind of go in there and redo it, like some Grand Nationals, or even like
Grand Nationals are really big, man.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
cars are huge right now.
So I'd say my top 5 would be like a tricked out Buick Grand National,
There you go.
a 69 Camaro is just so basic. So like I don't know. I want like a
Like a RS SS car, something special.
Yeah.
Make it a little spicier.
Yeah, well, my dad had that as his first car, and me and him don't get along too well, so fuck that.
I don't say that do it for me. You know.
So like maybe
Wayne Newton probably has one.
Yeah.
They got something. They got something in common.
Yeah. So maybe like a 73. Is that where they start kind of
Yeah, split bumper bumper.
Yeah, like a 70, like a 73 Z28. I'd be sick.
That was my first car.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, 73 Camaro.
Really? Oh, dude, yeah. Now that
Bumper thumper.
So I'd have to have Grand National, split bumper thumper, 57 or I'd probably do 55 Chevy Bel Air because that's something my grandpa and I went and picked up for the first time. Had a big blower coming out the top of it.
Post or hard top?
Huh?
Was it post or hard top?
Oh, hard top.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yep. Let's see. What's that? 3. I think a Barracuda would be sick.
That's cool.
Yeah, like a Barracuda would be sick. I'd have to do something from like a different time generation, almost like kind of go a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Like a 40 Ford.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
like a 40 Ford.
Iconic cars.
So I think
go wrong.
I think those would be my top 5.
Well, know that those cars are going to be available in the near future because a lot of the collectors are getting older.
So yeah, that's a good point to bring up. Is like, what do you think? So you see in the job market where all the boomers and all the older kind of guys are kind of going out and you're seeing this kind of vacuum and whatnot. You feel like there's going to be something similar within the car market here pretty soon?
I think a lot of the car guys, they don't want to leave the burden on their families with their collections. And there's guys that have collections that would need fall over. But then there's guys that have their first car or their first street rod they've had for 40 years and they've bounced off their families. You know, do you want this car or not? And a lot of the kids have no interest in these cars. You know, you're either wired for the cars or you're not. And you're going to see these cars start coming up for sale. I've witnessed it. I've been called by guys.
Like, are we talking for like what they're marketly worth? Well, I guess the consumer sets to market, but like, is it what it should be market wise, or are they kind of underselling because they know like what's kind of coming? I guess.
No, I don't think they have any reason to undersell them. I think
The market,
The availability of them.
and they know their value.
right.
it's worth what they want.
Okay.
And it's worth what the family agrees to give. As far as going in heavy on a car, you can always buy them cheaper and you can build them. But if you buy a car with history or it comes from a collector that's got, some history behind him, the buyers will step up. And then them cars ain't lost. When them cars come up on the market for sale, if it's a real car, it's going to get
notified to the right people.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a pecking list that they know where to go with the cars.
Right.
Do you feel like the big what about like 10 years ago the barn find thing was like huge, like American Pickers and all kinds of stuff like
the internet's changed all this.
Yeah, do you feel like that kind of wave is over with, like all these crazy barn finds, or do you still think that there are some hidden?
You gotta wonder still out there. Yeah. I mean, you watching Matt and them guys back in Pennsylvania at Iron Trap, they're finding this stuff. But the people handling the estate are contacting them because they built a reputation. Call us, we'll come and we'll give you stated values and we'll buy everything you got. But we want it all.
Do you see people getting cheated out of money a lot? Like, you see family? Do you see is this business slimy as far as like?
No.
It's
you can throw a blanket over the real guys, and you're going to have guys that go in there and try to buy something without paying for it. What I mean by that, and I'm gonna use the term car horse. The guys that are going in and they're buying somebody's love of labor for 50 cents on the dollar. but they don't want to pay for it until they've got a buyer lined up. You know, does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
Middlemaning the deal.
but the real car people, you could throw a blanket over them, and I don't think there's a ton of scumbags in this end of it. That's my thought. I may be wrong, but I try to surround myself with winners.
Do you see? So like, hey, that's always good to surround yourself by winners. Surrounded by them right now. But so do you see, like, for example, those older kind of Model Ts and
Model A.
Model A's, all that were worth an extreme amount? Do you see less interest in those
Absolutely.
and more interest in like devaluation there, and then more interest in like the newer cars? Like, so the guys that are now accumulating money, the kind of the cars that they grew up with and always wanted. Is that kind of what you're seeing with
What you're seeing now is the kids that grew up with Hondas and Zoom cars. That's their focus. The guys that grew up around Camaros during their time frame, guys in their 50s, that's their focus. You see the Model T guys, they're all in their 80s and 90s. You're seeing the value of them cars fall off because there's not a big interest. A 27 T, 20 years ago, that's a $25,000 car. Now, you'd be lucky to find somebody that wants to walk around it for $10,000. But there's going to be somebody to buy it.
Yeah.
And then the Model A's, same thing. The Model A guys are in their 70s. Those cars still hold their value, but it's amazing. You take a really nice Jenny car, and it won't bring half of a nice street rod. So a lot of them cars get bought up for 50 cents on the dollar. So you get the sheet metal and make a street rod out of it. So yeah, you see that trend. You'll see a day where a 73 Camaro, split bumper thumper, won't bring 50 cents on the dollar. But that's going to be when we're hovering across the highways instead of rolling down the highways.
That's fair.
That's true.
It's fair. What are your guys' kind of favorite projects to work on? Like, I guess, like full restorations, like having full reign to do what you want with it? Or is it more so like, we kind of have a base
The
here.
finishing details.
We just want to put you to the finishing details on.
What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem working on any cars, really.
But what scope of the project
Do you prefer the finish work or the entire process?
Paint, but I don't have a problem doing it all either.
So
Not so much mechanical.
do you like putting it together like a puzzle, or do you like doing the like labor on it? Like, what's your favorite part? Like, do you look at your
Getting it to that point of completion.
I'm getting it to the point of completion, but
I got you. So you like getting it to that point of completion is like you're coming at that point.
Right.
Like, you've been pumping it into this car for months on end now, and then finally it's ready to bust, right?
Right.
I got you. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that I had that understood correctly.
Yep.
So
for me, I visualize the car completion, and I like coming in on the backside and closing the deal. I like doing the final assembly detail. Obviously we're in on the prep and paint and all that. Not real big on metal fab. I've never been really good at it. I could do it, but I wouldn't say I'm a fabricator. Would you, Gav? But I would say I'm a car stylist. I know what it ought to look like when it's done.
the closer.
Yeah, the closer. Yeah, they give me the closer.
The closer.
But that.
So you get to come in there.
Details.
Yeah, you get to come in there and be like, and then like nitpick everybody's like hard work. Like, all right, yeah, this looks like complete shit. What were you guys doing this entire time? Is that what kind of happens?
I've came in on the backside of a lot of projects, and to date, I know I've been hands on everything I ever shoved through the final process. I've had my hands on all of it, and that's just my comfort zone. I'm used to it. You're going to have gremlins. In the past, I've released them before they've had the shakedowns and all that. And that's a big mistake, you know.
Give me your 5 biggest mistakes you've made, like as an entrepreneur or in the collision industry or in the hot rod industry, that if you can go back and tell younger Lonnie, actually give me 3.
Well, it's real simple. That's easy to identify because I'm still suffering from it. No, you know, like number one thing is you think, you know, let me give another week's worth of labor here and push this thing through the ropes and you know, we'll close this thing out. Maybe I spent too much time on, you know, this final step, you know, this final step of the, you know, the build, and you eat those hours. Shouldn't eat any hours. A lot of times you'll be away from the house working on a car and you know, there's touch time. That's something I've always been kind of hard on myself. Second thing is letting one go because, you know, they're either under deposited and they think they're tapped out on the project, the customer. So you get to the big end and you sacrifice your labor hours, but you know the car needs that last little Lonnie touch. And I've always beat myself up on that. And then probably the third thing, and maybe I'm repeating myself, you know, the first 2 sounded similar. Not interviewing my customers before I take them on. Because you get customers that when they know more than you, that's not your customer. That's not who you're going to build a car for. If they know more than you, they don't need you. And I've because, you know, trying to keep the lights on and keep the business growing, you take on those customers and you bend over backwards, and doesn't matter what you do, there's going to be you'll never be able to do enough. And I've gotten really good in the last 10 years at interviewing my customers before I take on the job. I wish I'd known that at a younger age.
So looking, you know, you're looking towards the end of your career as a body shop, or
I got 40 years left.
40 years left. Okay. You know, what, like on a personal aspect, okay? We have a lot of people, especially guys our age, like suffering with lack of purpose.
Well, that's upbringing.
Finding, you know, finding, you know, lack of purpose, finding things that are worth putting their effort into. You know, what are some advice that you have to a young individual as a, you know, successful entrepreneur, and you know, you have all these toys, you know, you seem like a pretty happy guy.
It's simple. If you're going to do something, don't do it half-ass. If you're going to do it, go in head first and give it 100%. If you're going to do it, you're going to go in half-heartedly, don't even do it. You'll never build a name for yourself that's worth shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My advice to the younger guys like Gavin and what's your name again? The Fisher boys. Give it 100% and put your heart in it. That'd be the only advice I give you young guys.
What about us guys that have, you know, us young guys with families and whatnot, where it's hard to balance that kind of stuff out? What do you have to say to them?
You got to take care of business. If you're getting into this industry, you're doing the hot rods, you're doing the builds, you're doing a collision center, take care of business, but don't forget to take care of business, because then you'll be doing double duties. You'll be taking your free weekends that you spend with your families. Just from history. Just from history. You got to take care of business on both ends. You got to take care of your family business, take care of your business. Getting off track on that question. I'm just having flashbacks. No, you got to take care of business. But you got to have family first. Then put in your 12-hour day, but then shut it off and go spend time with your family. and don't neglect your family, because everything you're doing that first 12 hours of the day, irrelevant.
We see a lot of people like looking for have they made it? Have they made it? Have they made it?
How do you know when you make it?
Yeah, how do you know when you make it?
You don't think you ever do. I mean, oh, you know.
Do you feel like you've made it?
I think I've provided a pretty good living and some security for my family.
Are you satisfied?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm satisfied, but
Would you do it all over again?
well, I'm not done.
Well, I'm just saying, would you do it all over again? Like, like right now, would you do it all over again?
I always use that term, you can check in or pay in. I never had a problem paying in.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do anything different. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes.
See,
I always took care of business.
I ask these questions because, like I understand the tenderness of life, having like lost a mother at a young age and whatnot. So I these are kind of the deeper questions I ask and whatnot, because you find a lot of people that are rich and successful that, like you said, didn't put,
If you go,
things
see
where they should be put, and they're miserable. And so to hear you say family first, and that really reflects on like,
and then how do you measure success? It ain't where the decimal point's at in your bank account.
Yeah.
Okay. It's at the end of the day, can you look over your shoulder and see what you did?
Mm-hmm.
And did you step on anybody getting there? And did you meet your obligations? Did you, whatever promises you made, did you meet those promises? That's how you end it at the end of the day. And that's how you measure success. There's all levels of success, It ain't where the decimal point is in your checking account. I got a checking account.
Yeah. You got a driver's license?
Yeah, I got a driver's license too.
I didn't have one for a while.
Yeah, well,
Finally got that one back.
we get that one back. You young guys, they always say the younger generation that they want it all right now. Well,
That is true. That is true. It's hard.
I don't know with the economy the way it is, and of course, we got all social media and we got access to anything we want on the internet. But the cost of what everything, the inflation, the way things are right now,
Instant gratification.
younger guys.
Yeah, it's not. It's
But when I bought my house in 1987, well, I bought one house in my whole lifetime, and we're here at it. I mean, this is the only house I ever owned.
When I bought my house in 1987, such a boomer thing to say.
But you know what the interest rate was back then?
What?
probably like 0.
Keep going, buddy. We had Ronald Reagan,
No, it was probably like 9%.
18.
Oh yeah, No, it was like it was really high, but like I mean, well, yeah, but that's
I was being a smart ass with the 0.
yeah. It's probably it was high interest rate, but yeah.
But
Did you refi though? Did you get it down?
no, I just busted my ass, and I paid for it in 7.5 years.
There you go. Look
That's
at you
how I
now.
did it. But I did a lot of K10 and C10 trucks to pay for it. You could snatch a long bed C10 for about $700-800, maybe $1,000 if it was really nice. We were knocking 12 inches out of the frame, 6 inches off the tail end of the frame, and doing short beds on them and popping them trucks. I was doing that when I was still working my regular job at Globe. But anyway, new subject.
New subject. I got one. So, the Fisher boys, give me three things each that you would say you've learned from Lonnie that has positively affected your life.
Yeah.
Work life.
You go first, Gavin. All right. Well, I would say time management. That's definitely one of them. You can always be good, but you can always be better. He's definitely taught me to run to the roar, as he says. Don't run from it, run to it. Just being punctual and showing up for all the right reasons.
Gavin?
It's taught me a lot in the hot rod stuff. This is the first hot rod shop I've worked at. I came from doing collision stuff, and I don't have plans of ever going back to collision. Definitely just staying with hot rod. But details and things, how to do a lot of things, the builds, processes of it all. I mean, everything. Hot rods.
Here's a question for you. What mannerism do I have that you guys have picked up on? I mean,
There's a few of them.
I mean, not behind my back now.
Well, I don't know. The toothpick one's always good for me. I always like doing
That's just a nervous niche of mine.
But there's a few different good ones. Maybe ones that we'll share on a later date when we have some other guests that can attest to it and contribute.
Well, I don't spend as much time in the office as I once did. You know, I spend a lot of time back there in the
hot rod shop.
hot rod area. So I've turned over, like Mike Clark works in the office and Stephanie works in the office. Of course, Logan works in the office. So the customer base, they come in and they always go, "Does Lonnie work anymore?" And yeah, he works. He's back in the hot rod shop. So I've left the office area over to, the office help. They picked up on how I like operating. When the customer comes in, it's not, if we can fix your car. It's when do you want us to fix your car, and we'll do it right now. Get their keys and get your car fixed. They're there to get it fixed.
Yes.
And I think I've got Lonnieisms that rub off.
Yeah.
They call it Lonnieisms. And you probably know some of them.
Yeah. I would say get the keys is probably the mannerism that I would say that rubbed off.
If they showed up wanting an estimate, they don't need an estimate. They need their car fixed.
Yeah.
And let's cut to the chase.
Right.
Because
When can we do it?
time is money.
Yes, sir.
And again, it's down to interviewing your customers.
Absolutely.
And on the production side, collision side, it's different than the restoration and the hot rods.
Yeah.
I want you to look that camera right there in the face and tell me why you're the best collision center in the state and a hot rod shop.
I'm not going to say we're the best. I'm going to tell you right now, though, if we tell you we're going to do something, we do it. And you're not going to leave there until you're happy. So that's, there's a lot of good shops. But when you go into Moore's Collision, you go in right off the bat knowing who owns it. And you know who to ask for if there's a problem. That'd be me.
Awesome.
And they may have to come and get me out from underneath a street rod or a hot rod, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to answer the bell every time. There ain't no, let me talk to upper management, I'm in. So that's the difference. We use the slogan and everybody gave me a hard time, see more, get more.
It's running true for
you heard my term, giver's gain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It don't hurt to give a little. It pays back tenfold.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great place to end the first episode of the podcast.
You don't want to talk about that festering sore?
Oh, no.
We'll talk about that next time.
We'll talk about that off camera.
This is a good rundown on what we ought to do. Maybe a couple times a month.
Yeah.
I know we kind of bounced around and you set up the questions. Maybe we come back and interview you next time.
Maybe we can do that next time.
Educate you.
If you want to, in the comments,
I always had you kind of figured as a Tesla guy or a actor guy.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, let's do it next time. If you
Give you some trivia questions. For next episode.
Yeah. If you guys want to see me do hot rod trivia,
Let us know.
Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe. It's going to be on the
Comment, share.
This will be on the Lonny Moore YouTube page. We're gonna do we're gonna call this the Lonny Moore podcast, and we're gonna put this on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, so it'll be available on all platforms. Yeah, awesome.
Awesome.
Well,
Go stream it, guys.
thank you.
All right, man. All right, let's get.